If you've been following this incredibly dramatic 2026 World Rally Championship season, you already know we're witnessing some absolutely spectacular narratives right now. So, welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to dive headfirst into a story of just pure, unadulterated grit. We're looking at driver Teemu Suninen and how, after being completely overlooked for a top-tier seat, he basically fought his way back to the very top of the sport. It's this amazing journey about proving your worth when the whole world has stopped believing in you, and we're going to break down exactly how he did it race by grueling race.
18. That is the agonizing number of months Suninen spent completely on the sidelines after the 2023 season. Just think about that. For a year and a half, he wasn't competing in a WRC event at all. He was just watching, waiting, and, undoubtedly wondering if his moment at the highest level of rally racing had permanently passed him by. It's a pretty somber reality that a lot of athletes have to face, and in the high-stakes world of motorsport, an 18-month absence usually means you are history, done.
Which really begs the question, right? How do you bounce back when the motorsport world just writes you off? When everyone in the industry assumes you're finished, how do you mount that desperate push to prove you still belong? Well, Suninen decided he wasn't going to just quietly fade away. Instead, he was determined to launch a spectacular comeback campaign to prove to the entire rally world that he absolutely deserved to be back at the highest level.
Let's get right into Section 1, The Long Drought Ends, Securing a Seat for Rally Sweden.
To even get a chance to prove himself, Suninen managed to cobble together a deal just in the nick of time, getting a seat driving a Toyota GR Yaris Rally2 alongside his new co-driver, Janne Husi. But the odds were just massively stacked against him here. He wasn't just shaking off 18 months of rust. He was dealing with a completely new team, a totally new car, a brand new co-driver, and a new tire supplier. And honestly, the most shocking detail of all? He was starting his entire 2026 season with just a single day of testing. Literally one day to figure the whole shebang out before hitting the wildly unpredictable snow and ice of Sweden.
So what actually happened when he took this super unfamiliar setup out onto the world stage? Well, the outcome was nothing short of incredible. Despite those massive hurdles, he went out and claimed an astonishing second-place finish at Rally Sweden. Just like that, boom, he was back. And you better believe the entire rally world immediately woke up and started to take notice of what was happening.
Moving on to Section 2, a relentless summer schedule, 4 rallies in 5 weeks. So Suninen was on an absolute mission now, grabbing a statement-making WRC2 victory in Portugal shortly after Sweden to kick things off, and really silence any lingering doubts about his pace. But to keep that momentum going, he committed to a circuit that would break most people. In Week 1, he took a close second place in WRC2 at Rally Estonia. Fast forward just 2 weeks to Week 3, and he's claiming victory in the European Rally Championship at Rally Poland. And then, straight from Poland, he heads directly into Week 5 for Rally Finland, which is his home event. It was just a completely relentless, totally grueling pace.
Suninen actually perfectly captured the toll this took on him, admitting, "We have gone 6 weeks without a single day off. We've watched a lot of onboard videos. You definitely start to notice it. You can really hear the immense physical and mental exhaustion he was carrying there. He wasn't just battling the terrain on the track, he was battling sheer fatigue as he pushed all this incredible momentum into Jyväskylä."
Which brings us to Section 3, Heartbreak at Rally Finland, the Grand Prix of the North.
Arriving exhausted but riding super high on momentum, Suninen was locked in this fierce WRC2 duel at his home event. He was right on the verge of a dream-come-true glory against Estonia's Robert Vervies. And then, on the absolute last day, disaster struck. But get this, it didn't happen out there on the dirt roads. The gut punch actually came from the steward's desk. Suninen was handed a devastating 30-second time penalty, a penalty that instantly dropped him from first place all the way down to second, basically handing the victory over to his rival, Vervies.
So, what happened? Well, it all comes down to a really specific WRC safety rule that got triggered after Estonian driver Patrick Enek crashed his car on Saturday morning. The protocol dictates that when a driver approaches a crash scene, they must look for a physical OK signal from the crashed crew, like an actual physical gesture. If no physical signal is given, the approaching driver absolutely must stop their car entirely. And it just so happened that Suninen was the very first car to arrive at Enek's crash scene.
Now, there was a massive disconnect at the scene. From Suninen's perspective, he explained that his car's display showed a green light and an OK signal, plus he visibly saw 2 people standing safely. So logically, this led him to believe the crew was completely safe to bypass. But the steward's ruling was completely black and white. Regardless of whatever digital displays are showing, a driver must stop unless they receive a physical OK signal directly from the crew themselves.
Because Suninen didn't get that physical signal and just kept driving, the penalty was strictly applied.
His frustration over this was just palpable. He stated afterward, "We followed the green light and everything seemed okay. But if we follow the rulebook, quite a few others would be getting penalties too." It was a really bitter, deeply frustrating end to what had otherwise been a pretty flawless weekend for him in Finland. What should have been this amazing, triumphant homecoming victory suddenly just became another what-if scenario.
Let's look at Section 4, the road to 2027, proving his worth.
Because ultimately, Suninen's 2026 season is absolutely not defined by one devastating rulebook decision. It is defined by incredible resilience. He didn't let the heartbreak in Finland derail his broader mission of showing the world he belongs back in the top class. The results give us some pretty objective proof of that resilience too. In a season that's widely been cited as having the toughest WRC2 field ever, his speed and consistency have turned heads everywhere. I mean, look at this. He took a completely new car and team to first place in Portugal and second place in both Sweden and Finland. He has consistently been one of the absolute fastest drivers out there, putting his team on the podium time and time again.
His ultimate ambition is crystal clear. He said, "I believe I could be a good driver for the teams. All I can do is to perform well and get the seat for 27. He may have been denied the trophy in Finland, but he absolutely won back the respect of the sport. He seized an opportunity that a lot of people thought he would never ever get again, and against all the odds, he made it his own."
Which brings us to a final, provocative question to wrap up our explainer today. Has the comeback kid done enough to reclaim his crown? After being completely written off, his 2026 season proved that earning back respect is the very first step back to the top. He performed brilliantly under immense pressure and total exhaustion. Now the rally world is just waiting to see if those top-tier teams were paying close enough attention to give him that seat in 2027. Thank you so much for joining me to break down this amazing underdog journey, and I hope this leaves you just as eager as I am to see what happens next for Teemu Suninen.